Insecure thinking can make relationships painful and unpleasant. And it's not like we choose to have insecure thoughts. They happen whether we want them or not. So what's there to do about it? Welcome. Thank you for joining me for Rohini's Relationship Tips. This is a space where we explore what helps relationships rewild themselves back to their natural state of love. Today, I'm going to be answering a question about how to deal with insecurity in relationships. And if you would like to spend more time together, maybe even ask your questions live, we have the Rewilders Community, and we'd love to have you join us there. We have live webinars, Facebook Lives, recorded guest speaker interviews, video lessons, all designed to support the deepening of the understanding that helps you to rewild yourself, your relationship, and your life back to its natural state. And it's full of incredible, loving, kind, wise people, and it's just a really healing space. And one of my favorite things that's offered in the community is that the Rewilder guides who've completed our certification program offer one-on-one sessions there to members, and they are just amazing. So it's an incredible opportunity to deepen in the understanding, connect with other like-minded people, and I will place the link if you're interested in learning more in the comments, or in the description actually, below. And I'll also place a link if you'd like to sign up for our newsletter. We have a weekly newsletter, and would love for you to become part of that newsletter community. And if you're not a subscriber to our channel, please click the subscribe button. We'd love to have you join us here on YouTube as well. Here is today's question. I have terrible insecurity. The two thoughts that run through my mind are, he doesn't care about me and he doesn't want me. I realize these are just thoughts. What happens though is sometimes I get so triggered I act out to my partner and we get into horrible fights. And then there is the repair and worry that he will leave. It's getting a little better, but it's still happening, and I'm so frustrated with myself. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for sending in your question. It's really helpful to have specific questions to answer and be of service in this way. And one of the first things that jumps out to me when I read your question is the comment where you say, I realize these are just thoughts. When we say things like, oh, it's just my thinking, these are just thoughts, it's very dismissive, and it's not really acknowledging what's going on the emotional level. So yes, our thoughts and feelings are connected. We feel our thinking. We feel the thoughts that we identify with. That is accurate. But to me, that doesn't then lead to, well, it's just my thinking. Because we are feeling our thinking. There's a physiological response. There's an emotional response. And there can be a lot of suffering related to that. And so I think it's important to allow yourself the space to feel your experience without dismissing it as just your thinking. And often, just the being with your experience, without judging your experience, is healing in itself. Feeling our feelings and allowing ourselves to have space for our feelings allows us to find that space of peace and well-being within as we navigate the human emotional experience. So it's really allowing ourselves to feel and going through the feelings that we find a sense of equilibrium again, we find our bearings again, and there's often a lot of wisdom and insight that comes just from doing that. So that's my encouragement, first off, is to really not diminish your feeling experience and to allow yourself to have it. All feelings are healthy, all feelings are valid. There's not one feeling that is wrong. There's not one feeling that isn't part of the intelligence within us, that's not part of the innate design. So can you simply allow yourself to have the emotional experience that you're having and stay open to it? And often when we stay open to our emotional experience, we feel compassion, we feel kindness towards ourselves. And like I said, that is healing. And that's really all our feelings need, is the space to move through us. We don't need to get engaged in a narrative around what it means that we're having these feelings or judge ourselves because we're having the feelings. It's simply being open and present to the felt experience and not engaging with all of the noise that might come in on the mental level, not try and analyze the experience, but simply be with it, stay open to it, and see what emerges from you in doing that. And that, in and of itself, I'm sure is going to support you in seeing something deeper and achieving a greater level of peace and balance within yourself. Now, the other thought that comes forward for me is that the narrative, he doesn't care about me, he doesn't want me, that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. And if we really look deeply at probably what's behind all of that, what's the core thinking that's going on that's creating so much suffering, is probably something along the lines of, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And I say that because that's really what most of us as human beings are up against when we're really suffering and struggling, is we get caught up in our own feelings of unworthiness. And I know I can certainly relate to that myself. And these feelings are incredibly painful. And yes, as you say, they're coming from thought. They're coming from misunderstanding. They're coming from limiting beliefs that aren't true. But when they feel true to us, they're incredibly painful. And so to recognize that really when you have a thought storm like that, with all of that thinking going on, he doesn't love me, he doesn't want me, understand that you're really hurting and that you're feeling emotionally destabilized and that you're not feeling good enough, you're not feeling worthy, you're not feeling lovable. And when you really understand what's going on for you, and it's not true, none of those thoughts are true, it becomes more clear as to how to take care of yourself. What's going to allow you to settle down? What's going to allow you to stabilize? How are you going to be kind to yourself while you're in the thought storm? And this is very different than trying to change the thinking or trying to change the feelings. I'm not asking you to do either one of those. What I'm saying is that when you are simply present to the experience of being caught up in thought, having the emotional experience, when you understand what's going on, then you get more choice available to you as to how to take care of yourself in a kind, compassionate way while you're in that kind of experience. Because what I'm hearing from what you say, what happens though is sometimes I get so triggered I act out at my partner. My guess is that what happens is that that emotional intensity builds, and at some point it feels like you can't contain it and it feels like you need to discharge it. And often those who are closest to us in our lives, the people that we care about the most, are the ones that we discharge our emotional experience on. Not because we want to, not because it's a good idea, we even know it's not a good idea, but because it doesn't feel like we can contain the suffering anymore, and so that's what we do. So again, I want you to know that this is not something that's unusual, this is not something that I've never heard of before. I even do that myself at times when I'm not at my best, but I've certainly got better and better at it over the years. And so the more that you can recognize when you're feeling destabilized, when you're out of balance, and then recognize the opportunity is to really look within and ask the question, how can you be kind to yourself in that moment? How can you take care of yourself in that moment? Different thinking will occur to you. You won't be thinking about all of the content that's causing the pain. You'll be open to different information within yourself coming from a deeper knowing, coming from the part of you that knows how to take care of yourself, coming from the part of you where there is peace and well-being right there, even though you might not be feeling it in that moment. We can have our psychological experience and we can have our peace and well-being covered up by that, but it doesn't mean that it's not there. And so when you're able to allow yourself to be with yourself and be curious about how to be kind and take care of yourself so that your mind can settle, so that your nervous system can settle, new information will occur, and that will hopefully have the acting out behavior that you're mentioning happen less frequently. And I want you to be really kind with yourself. This is not about perfection. I want to be clear that I am not perfect. I do not have a relationship that is always loving, always kind. I have a real rewilded relationship that has the full range of emotional experience in it, that has room for me as a whole human being with all of my frailty, all of my weakness, all of the things where I'm not my best self, the relationship has room for that. And so I'm still on a learning curve, and I just encourage you to recognize that you can be on a learning curve too. This is not about perfection. It's not about having to get it right all the time. Small shifts can make incredible big changes. So allow yourself to be patient and kind with yourself as you're learning, as we're all learning. And then the final thought that I had is that in relationship, when you're struggling in this way, and I don't know if you've talked about this with your partner, but I really encourage you to have heartfelt, open, honest conversations with your partner about how you're struggling. Now, this is not to blame your partner for you having these thoughts. It's just simply to be able to be open and honest and let them know what's going on for you, so that there can be a greater room for gentleness and compassion, and that you don't have to have this all figured out. And I think that if you're able to speak to this, then your partner will be more understanding and understand that you're working through this and that you're learning as you go and that you can really learn together. It's a beautiful opportunity to come together and be on the same side and navigate this as a team. This isn't something that you have to figure out by yourself. You can speak with your partner about it and ask for support even. And that may or may not always be available, but the asking is powerful. And maybe if it's not available in that moment, it might be available in another moment. And the recognition that you're in it together, I think, helps to bring the intimacy and the connection forward and deepen in the love with each other, knowing that you're going to be navigating lots of different things as you go through each stage of your relationship. That it's not always going to be easy, it's not always going to be fun, but there's always an opportunity to bring out the kindness, the compassion, and the care that is your natural state, that is your partner's natural state. And so when you're acting out, when you're in a reactive state, know that that is a reactive state. It is not your natural state. It is not who you are. It is the best you can do in that moment in time based on the thinking that you're identifying with and based on what your nervous system is doing. That's your best in that moment, but there can be learning. And there can be learning about how to take care of yourself. There can be learning about how to be kind with yourself, how to let your nervous system settle down. And as there's that self-learning, as there's that deepening of connection with who you are, with your natural state, with that love and peace that is your essence, as there's a deeper connection with that, you'll be resourced, you'll be nurtured, you'll be filled, you will recognize that you are lovable, truly, innately lovable, that you are good enough exactly as you are, that you do not need to be any different, that you are inherently worthy exactly as you are. And you will be able to take that in and know that in your heart. And in that knowing, that will get reflected out from you into your relationship. But remember, the place to start is with yourself. Allow yourself to come back into that place within yourself that knows who you are, that feels the love, that recognizes it and knows what's true. Listen to that wisdom. If anything I say doesn't resonate with what you know within yourself, forget what I say and listen to your wisdom, because you know you have your own answers within you. I'm giving you my suggestions, but listen to yourself first and foremost. And know that you're not in it alone. There's community of friends, there's your partner, there's professional support, there's the Rewilders Community. There's a lot of spaces where you don't have to be navigating this by yourself. And it's so much easier to know that you're not in it alone and to not carry the burden yourself. So I hope this has been helpful. I look forward to anyone's comments or questions. Please leave them in the comments below. Happy to continue to answer them. Please send in any additional questions that you have. I'll answer them in further vlogs because I'm going to be doing Rohini's relationship tips now in an ongoing basis. So thanks so much, and look forward to seeing you next time.